Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Special Needs on the Table, with your host, Alyssa Apostolopolous.
And me, Yomi, Karade. Today, our guest is an extremely hardworking mom. She's an advocate. She's a philanthropist. Her name is Priscilla Leto. She's from Mission Kids Success, and we are so happy today to have her on our show. Hello, Priscilla.
Hi. How are you?
Good.
We're good. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me on.
So let's start off by having you tell us about Mission Kids Success and why you started it.
Okay, so Mission Kids Success is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have two goals. One is to raise money to provide grants for children with autism and other related conditions like ADHD, sensory processing disorders, auditory processing disorders, any other type of neurodevelopmental conditions, so that they can get services that they need. A lot of times you have families, they really want to help their children. They find wonderful things, great interventions that they can help their children with, and insurance isn't going to cover it. The government doesn't help them. The schools aren't going to help them. They cannot find the funds. They try everything that they can to raise enough money for a lot of these things. And I mean, rightfully so, the professions, they're putting a lot of work into this, so they need to be compensated, but things do cost a lot of money. And families have a really hard time finding the funds for these things. And so our goal and what we've been doing is raising money so that these local children in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut metropolitan area can get funding for services and therapies that will help them to unlock their greatest potential. And then also our second goal is to bring resources together with families so that they can find resources, and to bring different providers together so that they can network and learn from each other. It's been a little bit hard since we started like right before COVID, and now there's been kind of a lull because of that. But now that everything seems to be opening up again, that's where we want to go, and have different events where families can come and they can get exposed to information from different types of services that they can, and therapies that can help their child, and just bring everybody together and be able to learn and find things that potentially could help their children. We've to date, we've issued about $57,000 in grants to 15 local children with various conditions in the area. They've been all over the spectrum of ages and areas that they live in. We've had toddlers to teens receive grants for all different types of services. Auditory visual therapy, which is a very specialized type of therapy for children that had hearing loss. We've had functional medicine, sensory motor training, even things that are like possible careers that a child might want to have to get training in that. We've had a couple of kids go to Game U to learn coding because they were very interested in that. We've had kids take adaptive fitness classes, adaptive taekwondo classes to help them with their attention. So just all over the range of types of services that the parents feel that the child needs, and they can't, they have a hard time getting the funding for. We help them in that way. Actually, people can go out to if they'd like to see the full list of grants that we've offered. They can go out onto our website, and there's a tab that says grants awarded, and they can see all detailed out where the money has been awarded to.
Wow, that's absolutely great. That's fantastic. I mean, $57,000 is amazing, you know, because there's so many people out there that want resources and want to have the funding, and sometimes they can't get access to it. So this is wonderful. So we'll make sure that we have all your details listed on this podcast, and also people can come and see it, and so that they can actually know where to find you and how they can apply for the grants. They just need to go to your website. That's all they need to do to apply.
Yeah, everything's, we're going to be opening up the applications. Every year we open them up around the summer. But anytime, even if they go out there and they find that it says that applications, they're not accepting applications right now, they can always send us an email, and we'll put them on a list to notify them of when the applications are open.
Okay, great. Can I just ask you one question? Because you said you have the grants as well as though also that you have events. Can you explain what kind of events you do?
So before everything had with the pandemic, we had a family fun and wellness day at this big like sports place. And we had various providers had their tables out like a resource fair so that people could go and find services. But then we also had a lot of fun stuff for the kids with like with a focus on health and wellness. We had sports events, and we had yoga, many yoga classes going on. We had a special like calming room if anybody needed to take a break. We had bouncy houses. So we tried to make it really fun and also informational at the same time. And then when everything shut down, last year we had a virtual family fun day and resource fair online. Same type of feeling, but everything was online.
Online.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Not my favorite way to do things, but it was necessary. But anybody actually, they can go out to our website too. We kept everything that was recorded from that. And at any time they can go out on our website for free and see all the videos. We have a bunch of different providers talking on various topics. We have a yoga class out there. We have a fitness class, magic, music, instructions on how to make healthy treats. There's all these various fun videos and informational videos out on our website. Again, if they go to our website and they click on the tab that says resource fair,
wonderful.
Everything, all the different videos are out there all the time for anybody to access. That's
great. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how autism maybe has affected your life and maybe your inspiration as well?
So my 16-year-old son is on the spectrum. He was diagnosed when he was 4. If I could look back now, he got diagnosed a little bit late, but we didn't really know. We didn't really have any like reference point. We didn't have any kids around, so I didn't really understand like about his development if it was really delayed. And our doctor really never said anything. We just thought he had a speech delay. He would not really talk. He said stuff, he said words, but he didn't converse with anybody. You'd call his name, he didn't answer. He'd kind of just walk around and just say words. So he just, whatever he liked, he'd just be like pizza, Batman, you know, just kind of talking to himself. And you'd ask him a question. If you were lucky, you got a yes or no answer. And he finally got diagnosed. And you know, you go and to these people who are supposedly experts, and they don't give you a very good outlook, and not very many options. It was pretty much, well, put him in a special program. He was already in a special program at school. Get him some OT speech therapy. He already had that at school. There's really, you could, you know, here's a prescription for a medication, and that's about all you can do. And it didn't sit well with me, getting that. And so, you know, I did my own research, and there's a lot of different things out there that, depending on the child, can be very effective, that are natural and work with that child's individual needs. We did a lot of therapies over the years. He did cranial sacral therapy, vision therapy, brain balance. Now we're doing MNRI, and all of them, and also functional medicine, doing things with his diet, changing his diet. He's been gluten and dairy free since he was 5. Just nutritional wise with supplements and everything. And the amount of the amount of the difference between where he was when he was 4 and in a few short years, the difference is like night and day. He became conversational. He was able to go to a smaller classroom in a general ed school. It was, we were blessed that we had the resources to be able to provide that for him. There's a lot of people that want that for their child, and they look into these things and they find these things. And again, they have a hard time having the funding for them. And then, you know, if we didn't, I think about if we weren't able to provide that, where he'd be at now. So I feel really blessed about that. And that's kind of where this whole where Mission Kids Success came from, because I wanted to donate money to something where I could like sponsor a child to go through brain balance. And I couldn't find anything. And then I was talking to the people there, and they said, no, we don't know anything that does that, but we always wanted to like try to start something. And just from talking to other parents that went through that, we put together a board, and that's where this whole charity came from.
A lot of passion and love went into it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wonderful as well with all the experience. And then you also, you know, you talked about the gluten-free part of having a gluten-free diet. So for your children, and how important it was for your son. How important do you think that is for adults and children with autism, or anybody as well?
I can tell you just personally from my own experience. So I'll start there. I wouldn't have known about it unless my son went through it, but I had such bad migraine headaches and like arthritis symptoms years ago. And because he went through all the testing, I went through the testing too. And my headaches have like cleared up. I very rarely get a headache now. And my joints are like so much better. Like I so much like the feeling that I get now if I eat gluten or dairy, that I wouldn't even touch it now. Like everybody's like, oh, do you want to try? Like, aren't you miss it? And I'm like, there's the feeling of how sick I get now. If I eat either of those, I have no desire whatsoever. I can tell you with Matthew, his behavior change was night and day. His flexibility, to be able to change situations. We would take him out to, I couldn't really take him anywhere because there would always be a GameStop, and he'd want to go in the GameStop, and then you couldn't get him out of the GameStop. Mm-hmm. He'd want to look at every single box. And when they're 4, it's easy to grab a 4-year-old and drag them out. But when they're, 16, that's not going to happen. So the difference between him being so stuck on having to look at everything in the store and then have to drag him out kicking and screaming, and him just going in and just browsing and being like, okay, well, now it's time to go, and him, walking out,
it changes your life.
We couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't go because you go to the supermarket, there's GameStop next to the supermarket. You go to the mall, there's GameStop. So just opened up a whole, world to us. And he'll make like mistakes a couple of times a year, which usually isn't his fault. Like the restaurant will screw up or something. And he gets such a reaction, even physically. Mm-hmm. He'll get like sores on his scalp. And he used to throw up randomly. Like before we took it out of his diet, he'd just be walking around and just throw up. And the bloating. So there was definitely something going on with him regardless, even if it wasn't behavioral, just a reaction to the gluten and the dairy. I try, I think that everybody, I'm like such like like an advocate for it. Like everybody should go and like look into just getting tested to see if you have any like anything that's bothering you or problems that you have, I think it's like it's worth it to like just go see if that's like a possibility, if that's something that could be affecting you.
Sure.
Wow.
Are you able to tell us how autism has brought joy into your life and your family's life?
So
look at you, you lit up right away.
Yeah, I'm always, it's hard, it's hard because things are different, and you don't like to see your child suffer or be excluded from things, but there's a lot of things that we did that we wouldn't have had those experiences if he didn't have this, like we met so many people and we've been involved in so many different activities that he wouldn't have done otherwise. And he's a really good kid, and he's very funny, and he has I think some of his humor comes from him being on the spectrum. And I really, looking at it, I really wouldn't trade what we've been through with him, because he's just everybody always says something. They're like, he just makes us laugh. Like the things that he comes out with, he has the world's best comebacks. And I think a lot of it has to do with just the way that his brain is wired. And I wouldn't trade his personality in, or the things that we've experienced for anything.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So let's go back to your wonderful organization and your nonprofit. Can you tell us what activities that you have going on or that are happening in the future?
So right now, we just have some like local events that we're going to have tables at. On May 21st, there's a really wonderful organization called Pony Power. They provide horseback riding therapy on this beautiful farm in Mahwah, New Jersey. We have a table there. They're doing a community horse show, like a big spring festival type horse show. So we have a table there. And then we also have, there's like a car show in Emerson, New Jersey that we're going to be doing a table at in June. And we like to just, now that especially things are opening up, I try to find as many as I can of different like community events where we can actually meet with people and talk to them about what we're doing. I find that to be like the best way to connect with people. And we found grant recipients that way, which we've had a few that we've met at the tables, and they'll apply, and those will be the kids that receive grants that wouldn't have known about what we're doing if we didn't do that. In the fall, we're going to have a large fundraiser. We're still looking at what the dates of that are going to be, and where we're going to be doing that. But the same type of thing that I was talking about before, like a family fun day type event with a resource fair worked into it. And they can go to our website and sign up on there for if they want to get notified on upcoming events as well.
And actually that ties into our next question about how are people able to help or get more involved?
So again, if they would like to donate, all of the donations, 100% of whatever's donated goes to grants. We are all volunteer. There's no one making a salary. All of our administrative costs are covered by our board members and our sponsors. So when somebody gives a donation, it goes directly towards a grant. They can go to our website. There's a how to donate tab. There's also a button right on the home screen, donate now. They can, if they would rather, they can send us mail a check. Our P.O. box is 193 in Glen Rock, New Jersey. It's also on the website, the address. And then we're always looking for volunteers, people to help out at events. or to help us with like some administrative tasks or anything that they'd like to donate their time for. So they can always email us. Our email address is mks@missionkidsuccess.org. The kid is singular. So it's missionkidsuccess.org. And that's our website address. So
And we'll definitely make sure to,
Yeah.
oh yes, I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's okay. missionkidsuccess.org.
Wonderful. And we're going to make sure too, at the podcast, when it's posted, we're going to have all the links, your email address, the PO box as well, so everybody can see where to find you.
Okay.
Most definitely. Also on your website, you have your kid heroes. Can you tell us more about them?
So we have some really great success stories that came out of the grants that were from during again, we started like 4 years ago. So the timeline of it was like we started raising money, pandemic hit, we gave out grants during the pandemic. We still had some wonderful things that happened out of that. We have a new group of kids that have grants right now that I'm so excited about to find out what wonderful things are going to happen with them in terms of their development and their future outcomes. So just from last year's grant recipients, we have like some really great stories. There's one little 3-year-old boy who had hearing loss, and when he was I think he was 2, they put the implants in his ears so that he could hear, and they figuring when they turn them on, he's just going to be able to hear, and everything's going to be, work the way it's supposed to. And they turned him on, but he still didn't answer to his name. He didn't turn around. He didn't speak. So they, through early intervention, he was getting this very specialized type of speech therapy for free, because the government was paying for it through the age of 3. And then he needed to continue with it, and it just happened like the same thing as an event. His speech therapist found us at an event, and we were able to, as soon as he turned 3, continue him onto a grant for an additional year. And he's been doing just wonderfully. He's on target where he should be with speech. He's doing well in school. He's been mainstreamed. He's constantly chatting and talking and in conversation. So, we love that story so much. Like he's so cute, and he's doing so well. And we also had a 16-year-old girl with autism who went through the Brain Balance program during COVID. So she did it virtually. And as a result of it, she ended up being on the honor roll in her school, and she felt so much more confident and prepared and proactive in school. So she did really well, even just it being her doing that through virtual. We also had a 9-year-old boy with autism, PANS, and apraxia. He received a grant for functional medicine services and the related supplements related to that. And, according to his mother, his impulses and his irrational behavior has decreased tremendously. He had a big increase in verbal skills, and it gave them that plan to go forward and to continue him on with his development.
Wow. These grants are life-changing. It makes such a positive difference for everybody. I love it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for people to find out even more about it. And especially now that people are able to connect with you in person with these upcoming events, that there's going to be more ways for them to get involved.
Yeah.
Can you tell us some of your goals for the future?
So I was saying, like, one of the things that we really like to do is to do community education. So having more events, a larger scale resource fair where we bring in a lot of different providers, and people can just go and get information from different providers in the area of different services that are out there. I think a lot of people don't even know what services are available. And, you know, and it depends so much on the child too. Like there's some things that will work for one child and some things that don't, you know, that'll work for another child. And you just have to find the right fit. So, but it's hard. I think things are getting a little bit easier than they were 10 years ago, but it's still hard. You know, you get there's a lot of people that are very pessimistic about it, that there's just nothing you can do. It is what it is. There's no cure. And even maybe there's not a cure for these things, but you can enhance the child's quality of life and their independence in the future and their interactions with the world and their performance in school. There's so many things that you can do to help that child feel better in their own skin. Just, you know, through different types of like targeted therapies and services, they just need to find the right thing. So I would really trying to look into in the future, bringing the community together, bringing families together with a large amount of area providers so that they can find what's right for them. And also bringing those providers together also to network with each other so that they can learn from each other and they can refer patients to different therapies too. You know, just getting the word out there that these things do exist.
That's amazing. Really great. I mean, there's so much you've got going on and there's so much that we could love to talk about even more than what you have now. So this has just been just absolutely amazing. We thank you so much for everything that you're doing, you know, with Mission Kids Success. It's just been a wonderful opportunity to have you on the show and for families to know that they can actually, you know, have this resource, because there's a lot of things out there, but, you know, actually helping through grants and throwing events on, actually giving money to people who need certain services is almost unheard of. You know, there's a lot of people doing a lot of things. So, you know, props to you. Well done. Absolutely amazing, really. Alyssa?
Yeah, thank you so much, Priscilla. We are just so grateful for your time and for sharing everything that you guys are doing at Mission Kids Success. And we want to make sure that you check out this podcast to see everything that's going on with this amazing organization. And you can find us on YouTube and Instagram at Special Needs on the Table.
Thank you so much. Alyssa, Priscilla, is there anything else that you'd like to say?
Just thank you so much for having me on. You know, anybody who is interested in finding out more about what we're doing, please check out our website. If you are a family who needs funding, please email us and let us know that you're looking to apply for a grant, and we will put you on a list to notify you when we do open up applications. And that's it. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. This is wonderful. I appreciate so much that you're bringing this to everybody. To the podcast is wonderful. And you know, just again, it's all about just education and what you can do to help, you know, these kids who sometimes they just need a little help, you know. And so thank you for what you're doing as well.
Thank you so much. And yes, make sure that everybody that you come onto our YouTube page at Special Needs on the Table, and also make sure you follow us on YouTube and Instagram. And everybody check out this video. This is Priscilla here. She's doing some magical things for our community, and it's just such a blessing. Thank you so much again.